Hello everybody, it is Ty Sunley, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Obsession, the movie that I just watched today at the time recording this, and yeah, we're going to explain my thoughts throughout the video. Obviously, I'm sure everybody watching this video knows that Obsession is one of, if not the biggest horror movie of the year, and a lot of people have been saying that it's the scariest movie, not just that they've seen this year, but that they've seen ever. And if I'm being completely honest, before seeing the movie, I thought a lot of people were exaggerating, but I promise you they're not. Not only is this movie very scary, but it makes me very uneasy and uncomfortable, and I'm going to be explaining why throughout this video. But yes, without further ado, I think we should just get straight into it. Now, like I said, guys, Obsession is one of, if not the biggest horror movie of the year, and a lot of people are saying it's one of the scariest horror movies they've ever seen. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I haven't had time to see it recently until today, and at first, before watching it, I thought, it cannot be that bad, right? Like, I'm sure it's going to be scary, but it's probably just about, I read the description, I was like, it's about this guy who makes a wish that this girl falls in love with him, but then she's overly obsessed, and he has to somehow break the curse, and I thought, you know, this should not be too bad. But then I actually watched the movie, today, as a matter of fact, at the time recording this, and I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, that is the scariest fucking piece of media. When it comes to horror movies, I should say. The scariest horror movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, I'm sure a lot of people watching this video probably think that, oh, or maybe not just everybody watching this video, a lot of people before watching Obsession probably thought that for a horror movie to be scary, there has to be blood and guts and gore and crazy jump scares and rusty knives and everything like that. No, it does not. A horror movie, honestly, just needs to be scary by having realism in it, and Obsession definitely showed us that. Some people may not understand it, but there's a lot of different, like, hidden stuff and, like, hidden meanings throughout this movie, and just a lot of stuff that a lot of people watching it for the first time didn't get, and honestly, me too, until I did a little bit more research on the movie, and found out some stuff that just made me sit even more uneasy than I already was. But before we get into all that, let me explain why it's so scary because of the realism that it is portrayed in this movie. I think that this movie is so scary just because of how real it is. Like, a woman can really be obsessed, a man can really be obsessed in a relationship. Probably not to the extents that Nikki was in this movie, you know, cooking Bear's dead cat, putting it into a sandwich, and, you know, sitting there waiting at the door, pissing and shitting herself, unfortunately, until Bear got home from work. That stuff is obviously over the top and exaggerated for the movie, but a man or woman in a relationship, a boyfriend or girlfriend, can really be obsessed to a certain point where it's just very scary and dangerous and very weird. Like, I've seen it before in relationships. People can go to crazy, like, measures just because they are simply that much in love with the person, or at least they think they are. Which is just one of the many reasons why this movie is just so uneasy and scary and disturbing. I swear to you guys, the tension in this movie was insane. I was gripping my hands like super tight, like half the movie, especially towards the end, the second half. This movie, the tension in the air was so insane. Like, this movie is honestly just a big, like, film of discomfort and scariness. But yes, like I said, it's honestly just very scary because of how real it is and how much realism is portrayed in this film. And before anybody goes to the comments to tell me that Nikki wasn't the villain, Bear was, I know, 100%. I'm just saying, I'm sure all of us know that if you've seen this movie, I do not want to sit here and, like, beat the bush. I'm just gonna say it straight up front before we continue with this video. Bear is 100% the villain in this film. Bear is 100% in the wrong. It's all his fault. Everything is his fault. Now, in the beginning of the movie, I was hearing people on TikTok, like, the past couple weeks saying, oh, Bear's in the wrong, it's his fault, Bear is so horrible, Bear is the worst person in a horror movie ever. And at first I thought, what? He just made a stupid decision, he didn't word his wish right, he said he wanted Nikki to love him more than anybody in the world, and then it backfired on him, and I'm sure he tried to fix it, right? As I watched the movie more and more, and as I got further into the movie, I 100% did a 180 on my mind. I changed my mind, I promise you. First of all, while all this stuff was going on, not only Nikki cooking his dead cat, Nikki killing both of their friends, Nikki killing their friends, all the just disturbing stuff that Nikki was doing throughout this movie, smashing the bottle on her head, doing everything. Literally, when Sarah and Bear were in the car and then Nikki came and beat her head in with a brick, Bear literally helped her put Sarah's body in the back of the car. And he, throughout the whole movie, he was just kind of trying to ignore it. Like Ian was telling him, he was like, dude, there's something wrong with Nikki. Something's up. Her dad isn't actually sick in the hospital. Like there is something wrong with her. And the entire time, like Bear was just trying to lie and be like, no, she's just sad. She's just this. She's just that. No, she's weird. She was acting very weird and it's your fault. The entire time, Bear was trying to just make up excuses to, like, I guess, battle the fact of the stuff that Nikki was doing. Like, he was just trying to make excuses for the things that Nikki was doing throughout the movie, and there's no excuses. Like, that stuff is weird. It was only towards the end of the movie where he decided he needed to put a stop to it. I don't know why in the beginning of the movie, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, like, even before she did any of the super bad stuff, even before she murked anybody, any of their friends, even before she cooked his dead cat, there was so many signs in the beginning that he just messed up really bad and needed to put an end to this before it got any worse. But obviously he didn't, because this was the girl that he liked, or more so, he should say he loved, he had a crush on, and so he just didn't want to ruin this moment, even if it meant that Nikki had to be this obsessed with him. That's honestly how I feel about Bear at the moment. Also, I'm sure we all know about the scene that took place after the date. I'm not going to bring up that scene for obvious reasons, but if you guys have seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And before anybody goes to the comments to say any different, yes, Nikki was taken advantage of, unfortunately, in that moment, because the real Nikki, if you guys don't know, throughout the movie, Nikki was obviously possessed by the One Wish Willow. The real Nikki was there the entire time. She was in the body. She saw it all happening. She knew what was going on, because she just couldn't do anything about it. That's why she wrote the Hansel and Gretel poem that she showed at the party, because she thought of Bear as a little brother to her, and to see all this stuff happening, she tried to, like, let Bear know, like, this is bad, you need to stop it, you need to do something now. But obviously she couldn't actually do anything, so she was trying to, like, subtly give him signs, like cooking the cat to, like, I guess let him know something's wrong, and reading the poem to let him know, again, something is wrong. Even when she was laying in the bed and Bear was going to meet up with Sarah, she was like, she kind of whispered while, like, the demon her that was possessed was still sleeping. She was like, Bear, please, just take me, like in this now, please. I don't want to be in this body anymore. And what did Bear do? He didn't do shit, because he's the villain and he's weird. He wanted all this to happen secretly. If I'm being honest, I think everybody watching this video, if you've seen Obsession, I think we can agree as a group that Bear was 100% in the wrong throughout this entire movie. But yes, like I said, I don't want to mention the bed scene too much. I think we all know about that scene. Let's just say that she was 100% taken advantage of in that moment. And maybe Bear didn't know it at the time, but later in the movie, he did, and he didn't do anything about it. Because obviously, you know, he had a crush on this girl, so he didn't really care what was going on. He was just glad that he could be with Nikki finally. I mean, even before we talk about the more disturbing stuff that happened later in the movie, I mean, just in the beginning, like, Bear, she was nice to you when you first moved to the town. You guys had good chemistry. Even if she didn't like you, even if she thought of you as a little brother, it could have been, it couldn't have been that bad to try. Like, instead of wishing, I wish Nikki would love me more than anybody, how about I wish that I could go up to Nikki and actually tell her how I feel. And even if she doesn't feel the same, rejection is a thing that happens, and I just have to move on. But no, he didn't do that. I mean, we could have avoided this whole thing. Obviously, it's a movie, so everything had to happen. But if this was real life, Bear could have 100% avoided this. He could have just told Nikki in the car. He could have been like, or even Nikki literally said it to his face when she was walking back in her house. She was like, Bear, be 100% honest with me right now. Do you like me? And what did Bear say? He was like, no, we're good friends. He could have just been like, in that moment, I'm not gonna lie to you, I do. You've been really nice to me. Like, you were the only person that was nice to me when I moved here. You're super friendly. I love how you care for people and the type of person you are. And even if she rejected him, was like, I think of you as a little brother. We could never date. We could never be together. It's just that simple. And you guys could probably go back to being friends and everything could be all cool and swell. But no, instead you had to wish that Nikki would love you more than anybody in the whole world. And then her body got possessed by the demon, and everything after that just happened. It was very disturbing. Also, if I have to say, the most, like, not surprising moment in the movie, but the moment in the movie where I was like, bro, what the hell is going on right now, is when Sarah died, when they were in the car, and Sarah was like, I was the one to your left that was supposed to kiss you. And then Nikki just busts through the window and beats her head in. That was the worst part for me. That was the most uncomfortable part for me, other than obviously the bed scene. But when it comes to just the scene where anybody dies, that's got to be the worst scene for me. That scene was so uncomfortable for me, it's actually insane. You know, even as a horror fan, someone who has watched a shit ton of horror movies, I wouldn't come on this video and lie to you guys and say, guys, it really wasn't that scary, I've seen worse. That is genuinely like the scariest horror movie I've ever seen. Again, not because of blood and guts and violence or jump scares, just because of how real it is and how much of a cruel, cold world truth there is to this movie. Not only how obsessed people can be with you, let me reword that. Not only how obsessed people can be, like, obsessed with you, but just how cruel people can be to just let certain things fly by and just do certain stuff that they know they shouldn't, but they want to for their benefit. I mean, even in the end, Bear was just being super selfish. He didn't, like, you know, kick the bucket and self-check out because he knew that it would snap Nikki out of the, you know, wish and make her back to normal so it could save her. He did that for him. He was like, okay, both my friends are dead right now. Nikki just murked them. My fingerprints are on everything. Instead of, he knew after, I think when he tried to get Ian to make the wish for everything to go back to normal, he was actually trying to save Nikki. But then after that didn't work, he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of here so I can save myself the pain. He did not do that to save Nikki. Like, we all know at the end of the movie when, you know, Bear obviously self-checked out and fell to the ground and Nikki snapped back into her true self, she just had to look around and see all this. Not only was she in the possessed demon having to endure all this stuff that was going on because she couldn't control it, but then after she finally snapped back into reality and became herself after the wish obviously was broken because Bear died, she just had to see everything that she did. She had to see that she murked her friends. She had to see all the horrible stuff she did and said. And it was not her, obviously. It was a alternate version of her. And I felt so bad for her in that moment. Hearing her scream and cry at the end of the movie during the credits genuinely might have been the most uncomfortable thing I've ever felt. I honestly cannot explain my feelings, like, towards the end of this movie. It was just so, I don't know. It just made me feel so uneasy and discomfort. Like, if anybody's watched this movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, even just throughout the movie when Nikki's screaming and crying, it just felt so real to me. Like, it was insane. But again, the movie was not bad. Curry Barker, you did your thing on this movie. I probably won't watch another One Wish Willow related movie if you do more of those, but I heard he's doing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre reimagination, so I probably will, you know, check out that movie. Pretty cool. Shouts out to Curry Barker. He definitely did his thing when creating this movie. The actors were obviously great. Everything was great. Even though the movie was very scary and discomforting and made me uneasy, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a bad movie. It was obviously a great movie because of how much emotion it was able to put in the viewers. So yes, to conclude everything, Bear was 100% the villain, Nikki was 100% the victim, and to give this movie a rating, I would have to give it a solid, I'll give it a solid 9 out of 10. Actually, no, 9.5 out of 10, just because of how much emotion it conveyed throughout the movie. So yes, Obsession gets a solid 9.5 out of 10 from me. But yes, guys, I think that's going to have to conclude today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, follow the Twitch, follow the TikTok, follow the IG. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.